Happy 2022 hot spring season, everyone. This year is going to be a great year. And for those of you who don't know, the hot spring season in Taiwan is a bit of a community effort. And in that spirit, I have asked members of the community to share updates on all of the hot springs in Taiwan, and I collected them and will share them with you in this video now so that this year you know where to go. This is important because after the typhoons, everything gets buried and the places can change dramatically. So in this video, we will discuss every single hot spring in Taiwan and its current condition. Because there are so many hot springs in Taiwan, this will be a long video, and I will put the chapters at the bottom and separate them into south, central, north, and east, and that way it'll be easier for you to find the hot springs that you love. In addition, almost all the hot springs mentioned in this video can be found at 68maps.com. There will be maps and photos there, and also you can go there and add your own and help to update everybody on the current conditions of the hot springs in Taiwan, or waterfalls, whatever it is that you love, and we can build this community together. And one last thing before we get started, everything filmed here is filmed on the Insta360 1-inch, and they are having a sale until the middle of December, so be sure to check the link at the bottom for a discount, and anything purchased with that link, percentage of that also goes to support this show. But enough about that, let's move on to hot springs, and many of you may have already noticed that I am actually at Jinfeng Hot Spring. I will circle back to here in a minute, but for now let's start at the very tippy bottom of Taiwan, Pingdong, and check out the hot springs there. Alright, we had to change locations due to heavy rain, but moving on to hot springs, starting in Pingdong, Haiyoshi Hot Spring. Most people go just for that red wall. The hot spring is actually behind it, and you can't really soak in it. And also the hot spring on the way, Da'u Hot Spring, it's not good for soaking either. It's only about 27 degrees, so really people are going there just to take photos in front of that beautiful red wall. I used to go there in the past, but now it's not easy really to go yourself. You have to hire the tour, and they drive you in there. So I've kind of lost interest in Wutai due to my opinion, mismanagement of tourism resources there. But if riding in a car to a red wall is something you like, then Haiyoshi Hot Spring is the hot spring for you. Going north to Kaohsiung, Maolin, Dona Hot Spring is still buried from Typhoon Marakwet. There have been a few attempts by the local government there to dig boreholes and try to bring the hot spring back, but so far they haven't been successful, so it's still a no-go this year. However, about 12 kilometers up the river, there is Wanshan Hot Spring. I haven't seen anybody go there yet, but if you have some information, please share it in the comments. Typically, that hot spring needs to be dug pretty deep before it comes out, so I wouldn't expect too much, especially not this early in the year. But if you like exploring, go ahead and check that one out. Farther north in the Kaohsiung towards Baolai, this is where things start to get better. The nice pool at Shidong Hot Spring survived the typhoon season, and now it is ready to soak. This is a very nice hot spring. It's very easy to get to, only about an hour walk. However, the temperature is not that high, so while it's very comfortable to go there during the day and soak in the pool, if you're planning on camping there, the temperature is still a bit too low to really last through a cold night. However, farther upstream at Chikeng Wenchuan, the hot spring is very hot. It is a very nice hot spring for soaking in, especially at night. And this year, it's very good. It's only a 5-minute walk if you have a 2-wheel drive vehicle, and if you have 4-wheel drive, you can drive all the way and camp right in front of the hot spring. It's got a big pool this year, very clean. I highly recommend that one. Earlier, I took the Xiaofei Packraft, so we kayaked down the river from Chikeng all the way to Baolai Chao. Super fun, and on the way, we passed Udian Wukeng Hot Spring. However, this year it's completely dry. There wasn't any water coming out at all, and I really wouldn't expect that to change for the year, so I think you're going to have to skip that one. However, if you hike up from Chikeng about 2 hours, you'll get to Shikeng Hot Spring. This year, there's a lot of hot water coming off the wall there, but the typhoon wiped away the previous green wall, so that's going to take a year or two to come back. So if you're planning to go there to get the classic photos in front of the green wall, that's not going to happen this year. However, there is still a nice hot spring, and it is still great for soaking in. Also, further up that river, Shisankeng Hot Spring is doing great. It's very big, fun as always. It's a 3-hour hike past Shikeng Hot Spring. So if you want to start at Chikeng, you can do 5 hours, and you can get both of those hot springs, or all 3 actually. But you can also go to Shisankeng starting at the top. It's a bit of a shorter hike, but you're going to miss the other hot springs on the way. Go ahead and check 68 Maps for more details, and you can figure out which route is best for you. The next valley north in Kaohsiung, the Usui Hot Spring, just completely forget about it this year. It was utterly destroyed. I'm sure everyone saw the videos in the news about that bridge in Taoyuan getting destroyed by the landslides during the typhoon. So that is the valley where Usui Hot Spring is. And so there's just so much mud and rock that has come down there. That hot spring, it's under 40, 50 meters of rock right now, and it's not coming back this year. Who knows if we'll even ever see that hot spring again. It's unfortunate, but definitely you're going to have to skip that one this year. But the next valley over, Lakashishi River, the hot spring there, Fushing Hot Spring, is doing well. However, the beautiful pool that everybody loves swimming in the spring in front of the dam, that has been completely filled up with rocks. It filled up with rocks the first heavy rain, actually. So that's not coming back. Who knows? Maybe they'll build a new one. I don't know. But those rains also wiped out the road. So if you're going to go to the hot spring now, you have to start at that dam and hike up about 2.5 hours. So you can no longer drive all the way to the bottom of the landslide like there and then just walk a kilometer. So that hike is a bit longer, but the hot spring is doing good. The riverbed was raised a little bit, so now the hot spring is closer to the river, and so there's not that much space to make a hot spring. So the pool's very small, but the water's very, very hot, and I bet later this year somebody will figure out how to get a hose across the river and build a bigger pool on the other side. I think it's a great place you can go and check out. That's a highly recommended hot spring and one that's not too hard to get to. I think that's it for the southern hot springs. There's not really any hot springs in Tainan or Chiayi worth mentioning, although if I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments and I'll pin all that information so that everyone can see it. Moving to central Taiwan and Nantou, starting in Xinyi in the south. Lulugo Hot Spring is still closed this year. I'm sure the hot spring is fine, but they still don't allow applications to go down there, so we'll have to skip that one. Also in Xinyi though, Ushuang Hot Spring, it's doing great this year. There's a nice pool there. It's hot. It's great for soaking. It's a bit more of a challenge for that hot spring. You have to hike down 1,200 meters to get to the hot spring, which is not such a big deal, but what it means is that you have to hike 1,200 meters back up. So that's a minimum 2-day hike. It'll be a bit more enjoyable if you do it in 3 days. If you're interested in more about Ushuang, Weilang went there earlier and his video is here. Be sure to check that out. If that's not enough adventure for you, you can continue all the way to Ibaho Hot Spring, which is a 5 to 6 day hike. And that one actually I don't have any information on this year. But if you have been there, please let us know in the comments and update that information so that everybody can use it. Because before you go on a 5-6 day hike, it'd be really nice to know if there's a hot spring there waiting for you. Further north in Danda River, we have Jianianduan and Danda Hot Spring. Jianianduan is like a 17-kilometer hike. Danda is going further, about 35. So that's a 2 or 3 and then a 4 or 5 day hike respectively. I don't have any information on those hot springs this year either. But, if you want to be the first one to go there and let us know, encourage you to do that. Those hot springs, though, usually they do quite well, so I'd expect them to still be there this year. Also, with that route, if you have a small light kayak, you can kayak all the way back down, which is definitely the way that I'm going to do it when I go there. That's it for the more complicated hot springs in Nantou. When we move north into Renai, they start to get easier. You get Wanda Beishi and Wanda Nanshi Hot Spring. Both of those are very easy hot springs to get to and both very beautiful hikes. It takes about 90 minutes to get to Wanda Beishi Hot Spring. It's a really highly recommended beginner hot spring if you're interested. The water there is not especially hot, but it's very nice for soaking in during the day, and because the hike is just so beautiful, it's still worth hiking in there and camping and spending the night there. I went there last year with Ku. You can see the video here or here. I don't remember which side it pops out, but check that out if you're interested in visiting that hot spring. I also went to Wanda Nanshi early this year. At that time, it hadn't been dug out yet. That hot spring is generally much smaller, but I encourage you to check it out anyway, because it's only a half-hour walk once you're down there in the river, and it's very beautiful. The canyon is very nice. Typically, that hot spring needs to be pumped out because it's a bit small and close to the river, but still, it's very nice and a very worthwhile hike, even if it can't support that many people. Continuing north along the 14, we have a bunch of hot springs in a row. Chunyang Hot Spring, Mahaipo Hot Spring, Lushan, Jingying, and then Unhai, all the way up the same river. Starting with Chunyang, I've been there a few times this year. It's very small. There's just enough to soak your feet in, but it's possible that could be dug out further as the water level goes down. However, with Chunyang Hot Springs, the pools that people dig tend to be mysteriously vandalized. Nobody knows what happens to those, so there may or may not be a pool there to soak when you visit, but it's still a very nice place. In the next village north, we have Maihai Pool, which is a very nice hot spring. It's very cool for taking photos, but actually the water's not so hot. It's in there in a little hole right next to a waterfall, so it's very unique. But because there's so much cold water going into that hole, the temperature never really gets very hot, but sometimes there's some small pools along the way that you could check out. But since it's only like a 15-minute walk up the river there, it's highly recommended. Just to go check it out. It doesn't take that long. And while you're there, you can also go to Lushan Hot Spring. Thanks a lot to Outdoor Boys for making a nice pool there. The route there is a little bit different this year, so be sure to check out their video. I'll also put a link to all this stuff in the description. It's a very nice hot spring, highly recommended, and also quite easy. There's been a lot of talk this year about regulating Jin Hot Spring for the way people come in and out, but in the end, it looks like none of that was implemented. You can still drive all the way down to the bottom, and you can camp there, that's okay. And also, the village at the top, they have some services that also drive you down if you don't want to drive on such a narrow and steep road. So that hot spring, it's very nice and it's very big. So even when there's a lot of people there, because there's so much hot water coming out, it's still an okay place to soak. Right above it, there's a nice waterfall, which is only a few minute walk. And if you continue up that river, you'll actually get to Unhai Hot Spring, which is like 50 degrees this year. It's very hot, but because it's right next to the river, it's very easy to Tiaowen. You can make a nice pool there. Very beautiful and peaceful. It's only about a 90-minute hike, but in the middle there's one part where you need to climb up with a rope. It's like a vertical 10-meter climb there over the dam. So just keep that in mind when you go. But otherwise, it's not too difficult to get to, and it's very nice and beautiful. After that, we've got Rayan Hot Spring. That's going to make it in the video. Time for intermission. Get a sip of water. After that, we've got Rayan Hot Spring, which is also nice this year. It's only a 5-minute walk from where you park down the bridge, so I recommend visiting that if you're in that area. It doesn't take too long, and it's quite nice and beautiful. Further up there, we have Hongxiang Hot Spring, which is perhaps the farthest hot spring you can get to for driving. This year, they built 2 nice new houses around it. Those are separated into male and female, and they're very hot and very nice. So if you're in the area, of course, check that out as well. That same river, Beigangxi, taking it all the way down, will get you to Huisun Hot Spring, and that one's well protected. It wouldn't have been damaged by the typhoon. It's kind of in the wall there with a little concrete pool, and that's quite nice. I recommend visiting that. Depending on the water level, it's around a 4-hour hike, so it can be done in one long day, or you can camp there and come out the next day. And typically, everybody goes up through the bottom, not from the top, but it's quite a nice hike there through the canyon. Also recommended to go check out. On the other side of the mountain, we have Dajia River and Maling Hot Spring. I went there also with Ku. You can see the link here, and check that out. It's about a 2-hour hike, 2.5-hour hike, and it's not too complicated. I really recommend this one for people who don't have that much experience with hot springs or hiking up the river, but want to try something that's a bit more adventurous than just being next to the road. This one, the water's very hot and it's very clear. Because of the typhoons, it shifted a bit, so it's no longer under the cave. So if it rains, you're going to be in a situation like I was in Jinfeng Hot Spring, but it's a very nice and beautiful hike. Not too difficult, but adventurous enough to really be enjoyable. Going over to the next valley, Da'an River. Last year, Dago Hot Spring came back. It's never really hot, but there was a nice pool there that you could soak in during the day. I don't know the situation this year, so if you have some information, be sure to let us know in the comments. And further out that river, we have Shuijian Hot Spring, which is about a 15-kilometer hike. It takes about 4.5 hours. However, that hot spring typically is not so good for soaking at because it's a bit deep down, so you have to dig far, and the water generally needs to be pumped out. So that's why most people, go there with cars. However, I don't really have any information on it this year yet. So again, if you do have an update on that, please let us know in the comments. Continue north, Tai'an Hot Spring at the start for Unshui Waterfall. It was always very small. You could only soak your feet in it, but this year it's dry. Don't bother with it. It's not there. It hasn't been there for many years. Probably won't come back anytime soon. That's it for the central Yeshi Wenchuan. Moving into Hsinchu, we have Shaojinping Hot Spring, which is very nice this year. They built a new road which goes all the way down to the bottom. Even 2-wheel drive vehicles can get there now. The new road is very nice. Also very impressive to me is that they managed to build a brand new road, and in the process they didn't fill in a single pothole on the way up. It must be a very tight and controlled budget there. Although you don't need 4-wheel drive to get there, you're still not going to be able to do it on like a D-Pancha, a low chassis car, because there are some sort of big potholes on the steep road up. But because they built this new road there, it also means that people were able to get bigger equipment down there, and so the hot springs are really better than they've been in a long time. The community has really come together to clean that place up. A lot of the big rocks that fell into the hot spring pools are being removed, and so now there's 3 or 4 pools there of varying temperatures, which are very nice. And also the coverings over them have been replaced, so even on a rainy day, it's still a great place to soak, or even when it's too sunny, you're out of the sun. If you're looking for an easy and nice hot spring, Jinping is great as always. There's also many waterfalls around there, not just that one that everybody goes to just upstream from the hot spring. On the left and right there are both big waterfalls and places to jump. One of them you can even see from the road. Check 6-8 maps for more details about how to get to all of those. But if you're in the area, it's worth checking out. Going further into Jianshou, we have Shoulan Hot Spring. Unfortunately, at Shoulan Village, there was a really big landslide this year, and a lot of rock just came into the river. It was massive, blocked the entire river. So I don't think that Shoulan Hot Spring will be coming back anytime soon. Last year you could soak your feet in it, and many years ago you could actually soak your entire body in it. But I think that because of just the sheer amount of rock that's been coming down the mountain into the river, I don't think that hot spring is going to be open for a while. However, Taigang Hot Spring, which is about an hour hike through the forest and then along the river, beautiful hike, beautiful river, it is still doing fine this year. There's lots of pools there, great place to soak. Because some people got stuck there during the typhoon season, there was some talk about closing it. However, that didn't happen. It's still open to going there and camping there, so be sure to check it out. One thing I should mention also about the Shoulan area, this year, because the winter is colder and more stable, I expect that the Fengye will start before New Year's and be very beautiful this year. In past years, due to climate change and a bit strange weather, all the trees, they didn't change color at the same time. They all changed at different times, so you never got like a really complete beautiful Fengye. But because this year the winter is colder and earlier, I think that all the trees will change at the same color. It'll be the best year in several years to go check out the Fengye, and I think it's quite a cool thing to see, especially because in Taiwan there's not that many of these deciduous forests that change colors in the fall, so it's quite a cool experience in addition to the hot springs to go visit and check that out. Moving to Taoyuan, there's 2 hot springs there, Galahe and Silang. Galahe is a 90-minute walk down a very steep hill, but the path is very big and easy to follow. It's not too complicated to get to. That hot spring is quite interesting because it's like a big waterfall coming off the side and it forms a nice pool, so it's quite a unique hot spring in that sense, and one that's very fun to go to. And then on the other side we have Silang, which is also about a 90-minute hike through the forest. You can do it a bit faster if you walk quickly. That hot spring, it's also a waterfall, but it doesn't form as big of a pool. So if you're many people, it's going to be difficult to soak there. But when there's just a few people, there's it's a nice place to soak. And there's also like a cave there that you can kind of back yourself into, and then it's like a sauna with all this steam. So it's quite cool. The only thing to watch out for there is that when the water level gets high, then it's hard to cross the river and get to the hot spring. And because it's still early in the year and it still rains there, that water can fluctuate, kind of depending on your luck, whether you can go there or not. But I think that so far this year, it hasn't been raining too much, so it should be okay. Moving to New Taipei and Taipei City, this is where things get a bit strange. So in Wulai, if you've been looking on Google and you wanted to go visit that big open public hot spring out in the river that you've seen so many photos of, unfortunately, several years ago, the government did, in my opinion, a very stupid thing and just completely destroyed 50 years of community work towards hot spring building in kind of a misguided attempt to boost the local hotel hot spring industry. However, upriver from the bridge there is a small Yeshi Wenchuan, just sort of people digging in the river, and the water is coming out hot there, and it is pretty nice. But the policies there are not clear, and sometimes the police do come and sort of try to kick people out of that area. I don't know, maybe they get reported or something. I don't know how it works, but just keep that in mind, that if you do want to go to Wulai Hot Spring and like soak in a Yeshi Wenchuan by the river, it's there, but you might not be able to soak. Just sort of depends on your luck, I guess. Just something to keep in mind if that's how you're planning your day. Up into Yangmingshan, we have a bit of a similar situation, just due to the policies of Yangmingshan National Park. Actually, playing in the water is forbidden, and so playing in the water can result in a 1,500 NT fine, and that includes going into hot springs. So while there are about 18 Yeshi Wenchuan in Yangmingshan National Park, including places like Huoshan or Liuhuang, Bayan, this kind of place. The only one that the national park doesn't seem to mind people visiting is Shachigu Hot Spring. So if you want to go, really the only one you can consider is that one. But this year, actually, it is a bit better than last year. It's slightly larger and the water is very hot. So it is very nice, and it's only about a 10-15 minute walk down to the river. However, because it's a small hot spring in a very popular area, if you go there on a weekend, you might expect to have to wait around a little while. Everybody's gonna have to take turns, but it is a nice hot spring, and it's in a very peaceful area. I do think, though, that some of these policies are worth revisiting, especially since the rivers in Yamashan, I think, are rather benign in terms of like rivers go. They're not really that dangerous. I think there's a lot of potential in Yangmingshan National Park for outdoor recreation, especially like the river tracing and the waterfalls, some nice places to swim, and of course all these hot springs. So I really wish the Yangmingshan National Park would take another look at these policies about water sports. I don't think there's really much evidence to show that it's more dangerous than any other sport. And also, I think that for the hot spring resources, it kind of creates a monopoly for the hotel hot spring elite. And when you look at the condition of the hot springs that are being used for resource extraction compared to the condition of the hot springs that people are using for Yeshi Wenchuan, where everybody goes there and they build it and it makes nicer and nicer, and by the end of the hot spring season, it's much nicer than it was before, compared to the process of resource extraction, where when you look at it, the hot springs are just completely full of trash and broken pipes, and it's not very nice. One great example of this is Chigu Hot Spring in Yamishan National Park, and also Tailuan Hot Spring in Nantou, or Mahaipo to a lesser degree. It's just, there's just so many pipes and trash. It's just kind of sad when you look at it. So I do think that the policies and the way that we handle hot spring resources in Taiwan could be improved. Just something to think about. That's it for the north. Moving east into Yilan, we have Fanfan Hot Spring, one of the best and most popular hot springs in Taiwan, I think. The typhoon season this year did wipe away all those bridges, so those are no longer there. You're going to have to cross the river on foot. However, the first pool is really big, and it's really hot this year. I haven't seen that in like 7 years, but it's really nice. It's very big, and that's only like a 2-minute walk from the road. And for the second outcrop, there are a lot of big pools there, but they're on the other side of the river, just one of the ways that the hot springs shift around during the typhoon season. But you can still go there and check it out and camp and soak in the hot spring. And it's highly recommended, because even though Fanfan Hot Spring is such a popular hot spring, just because of its size and the amount of places that you can soak, even on a busy day, you can still go there and find a place to soak. So definitely worth checking that one out. Also, just north of Fanfan Hot Spring is Paigushi, and there is a small hot spring there as well. I don't know how that hot spring is yet this year, but it's a very nice hot spring, and it's very easy to get to. Even though it's small, it's kind of cute. You can check it out if you're in the area. On the other side of the valley, we have Qingshui Diri. This year, it's very big, and also the hot springs that were on the other side of the river next to those big rocks there, those came back. So there's really a lot of pool options to go there. So be sure to check that one out. It's very easy to get to as well. Tiangoshi Hot Spring is also nice this year. About 2 kilometers up the river, there is that big Punchuan, that geyser that was from a borehole in the 80s that shoots up every 15 minutes. That's kind of cool, but there's not a place to soak there. However, if you continue upstream 1 kilometer, you'll get to Yeshi Wenchuan. It's right by the river, so it's not so easy to soak, but there'll be a little hose that comes across to the dry side of the river, and then you can put it into a tarp there. You should bring a tarp with you when you go there, but it is very nice and hot, and it's quite a cool hot spring, and that area is very beautiful. Dowan Hot Spring, which is just on the other side of the mountain, I don't actually have any information on that hot spring this year. Typically that hot spring is okay, but oftentimes you do need to put a tarp down and pump it into the tarp. So just keep that in mind when you visit it. But if there's any updated information, check that in the bottom. That's where it'll be, and also on 68maps.com. On the other side of Yilan, in Nan'ao, up Nan'ao Beishi, you have Uchu Hot Spring, Laka Hot Spring, and Yading Hot Spring. Because when the water level is high, it's very hard to go up that river. I don't think it has been visited yet this year, but when the water levels go down, then you can go check it out. Uchu is not that difficult to get to in low water. It's just about 2 hours up the river. However, Yading Hot Spring is way, way up there. I don't have any information about it for this year, but it's a pretty big hot spring, and it's on the side of the river, kind of up a bit. So it's unlikely that would be destroyed, but if you are interested in going on a great venture, be sure to check that one out. And also, if you've been and want to share the information, please go and add it to 68maps.com and just sort of improve the general information for the community so that everybody else can go check it out as well. Heading south down the east coast towards Hualien to Dazhou Shui Xi, there you have Bushawan Hot Spring and also Mohang Hot Spring. Typically that river is very hard to cross when the water is high, so you're gonna have to wait a bit for those water levels to go down, but when they do, I don't expect anything to happen to those hot springs because really a lot of water is coming out in previous years. I haven't been there yet this year. If I do, I'm definitely going to kayak back down because it's a beautiful river for it. But if you have been there, then let us know in the comments, and also share your information on 68 Maps. Very appreciated. The next hot spring south is Wenshan Hot Spring. This hot spring is in the Taroko National Park, so I'm sure it's still there. It's protected from the typhoons, but actually that one is also not open. But also, since we talked about it earlier, I'd like to mention it here too. I also think that Taroko National Park could revisit the rules about hiking in the rivers. I think there's so much potential there. It's such a beautiful area, but really it's all completely forbidden for water activities. Hiking is okay, but hiking in the river is not okay. So I think that's a bit strange. I think it's worth just mentioning here. But we'll skip that hot spring for now because it's closed, and then move down. In 2 valleys down, you have Urjishan Hot Spring, which is a pretty long hike for doing it in one day. I did do it up and down one day. I floated back down halfway because that's the way I roll. Most people go there and camp there for one night and then come back the next day. So it's a bit more labor intensive to get to that hot spring, but it's very worth it. There's like a hot river coming out, and it's a very beautiful place, and the hike is nice. So I recommend that one if you want a bit more adventure. You can check out my videos here. Check out the links. I went there with Corey and Tyler, and we had a fantastic time. The next river over, Wanrong River, we have Moli Shaka Dong Hot Spring. That one's really cool because you climb up a rope, and it's in this cave that was built during the Japanese period. It's super nice. That hot spring is like 45 degrees. It's definitely protected from the typhoons. Nothing to worry about there, and it's very hot, and the view is very beautiful, and that's also just a very beautiful river in general. So very nice blue water, so highly recommended to go up there. 2 kilometers up the river from there, you get to Wanrong Hot Spring, and I don't have any information on that this year. In the past it had been buried, but last year it suddenly came back, and this year I don't know. So if you have any information of that, be sure to share it down in the bottom. And if you want to keep going way up that river, I guess most people probably come down from the mountain. You get to Lejia Hot Spring. I've never been there. I don't know anything about it. If you've been there, yeah, let us know. I'd love to hear about that. Also share it on 68 Maps. It would be fantastic. Continuing south down to Yuli, you actually get the Antong Hot Spring, and Antong Hot Spring is quite cool. It's kind of similar to Hongxiang in that it's like a public Yeshi Wenchuan, but there's some infrastructure there, and so there are 3 big pools there with lots of hot water coming out. So that one's nice all the time. And this year also down next to the river, there are also some smaller pools that feel more like a Yeshi Wenchuan. So but those are public and free, and really easy to get to because they're just by the side of the road. However, Dauphin Hot Spring is way up the mountain, and I don't know anything about it. That is a blank in my hot spring knowledge, but if you do, again, let us know in the comments, and I'll be collecting all of these comments and putting them in a pinned one at the top. So they'll all be in one easy place for you guys to see. Thanks, Hot Spring community, for filling us in. And that's it for Hualien. Going into Taitung, up Nanheng, we have many hot springs there, the most famous of which is Lisong. So Lisong is, of course, doing fine this year. It's fine every year. It takes about 90 minutes hiking down and a bit longer on the way up. It's not quite as hard as people make it out to be, and it's a very beautiful hot spring, but the place for soaking is kind of small. Most people actually go there for just that beautiful green wall behind it. If you do want something easier though, there is Lioko Hot Spring, which is just kind of 6 holes right there on the side of the road. It's really just for soaking feet or maybe cooking some eggs in. But that same hot spring across the river is Bishan Hot Spring, which actually comes out like at a 60-meter waterfall. You can see it from the road there. But if you hike down, then there's actually some places you can take a shower, and in some years you'll be able to make a pool there at the bottom. I'm not sure this year yet, but I think it's highly likely, just sort of because the nature of the hot spring. That whole river for a couple hundred meters has a lot of steam and hot water coming out. It's really cool. It's really worth checking out. And also the The way the hot spring minerals calcify on the rocks is really beautiful, so it's worth checking that out as well. And if you want something harder than Lisong, there's always Lulu Hot Spring, which is like a 900-meter hike down, which again is not too bad, but then you got to do a 900-meter hike back up. So I think that 3 days is more enjoyable than 2 days, because then you have much more time to spend down there on the bottom, and also you can go upriver to Kaiofeng Canyon, which is a beautiful like red marble canyon, and like waterfalls, and there's steam coming off the sides. It's quite an experience. A very fantastic place. Highly recommend that. It is also possible to go up through that river, or maybe even kayak down. I don't know. Most common way for people to go there is down a steep trail from the mountain. There's maps and stuff on 68maps.com. Go check it out if you need some more information. On the opposite side, you have Urakusan Hot Spring. That one is quite cool, and it's a very beautiful valley, beautiful river. It's about 2 hours hiking up through the river. That requires a lot of swimming. The river's quite deep there, and because of where the hot spring is, it means that you'll never be able to soak in the hot spring there. So you can go up the river, and you can see the hot spring, and the cool wall there is very beautiful, but the water just pours straight into the river. And so while it's very interesting, it's not a place that you'll be able to soak. And all those other hot springs you might see on the map in Shin Ulushi, those are all been buried, I think, during Typhoon Miracle, but they're gone. They've really been buried for years and years, and there's not really any reason to suggest that they'll come back. So unfortunately, those are all we get up in Nanhong, but those are some very nice ones. So welcome you to go and explore there. A couple valleys over, we get to Luye River, and Luye River at the bottom there is Hongye Hot Spring. There's actually 2 Hongye Hot Springs, one under the Red Bridge, and then another a couple hundred meters downriver, which has a protected concrete pool, but also along the river, when the water goes down, you can dig out. And that was very interesting because that's a sulfur hot spring, and so the one up at the Red Bridge is a soda carbonate hot spring. So even though these 2 hot springs are very close together, they actually have different chemical compositions, so it's worth checking out both of them, and they're both very easy to get to. If you want some adventure though, you can start hiking up that river and you'll get to Shangli Hot Spring. I don't know the condition of Shangli Hot Spring this year yet, but I expect it's okay, and that one only takes about a half hour. But if you continue up another 3 hours, you get to Taolin Hot Spring, and that one's coming up from a waterfall high up the river, so it's going to be completely fine, and it's very beautiful, and it's quite cool. And if you continue past that, you actually get to Taolun Erhao, which is even greater. If you go up to Taolin and back, then you can do that in one day, no problem. You can float all the way back in a kayak if you want more fun, in a tube if you don't have any bag with you. But to go to Taolin Erhao, 2 days is recommended. I really have to pee.
Evacuation complete.
Unfortunately, Jibin Hot Spring is still buried this year. I don't think that's coming back for a while, but further south, Taimali, the hot springs there are doing very nice this year. Jinfeng, of course, has so much water coming out. That big swimming pool that everybody remembers, that kind of filled up with mud, but I expect later in the season you'll get that nice green pool back that everybody enjoyed. But there is a hose that goes out from the hot spring, and there's very piping hot, clean water that comes out. If you bring a tarp and just put it over the wood there, you'll really get a nice, good, hot place to soak. For me, I don't mind. I just went into the muddy pool and had a fantastic time there. I thought the temperature was pretty good, but it should improve more and more as the year goes on. Upstream from there, you have Bilu Hot Spring, which actually you need a special permit to get to. I did get that permit, and I was intending on filming a video there, but suddenly it rained very heavily overnight, and the river flooded, so we weren't able to go up there. I will try to go there later this year, because there is a video I want to film there. There are some other people who went, Wei Long as well. You can see his video. So if you want information, you can check it out, but just be aware for that one, you really need to apply through the Daoshan Shantai Baohu. They can help you out with that. You can't just sort of go up it. Jinlun Hot Spring, though, is very great this year. I had a great time there. I went there twice. There is a lot of hot water coming out. It's much bigger than it was in previous years, and much hotter. So be sure to check it out. There are many options there, and it's very easy to control the temperature. Plus, the river there, I actually found a really nice rock there. If you want to go and just sort of like, after you're in the hot spring and it's so hot and you want to go and soak in the river to cool you off, there's a really nice eddy behind a big rock there that I recommend. Upstream from Jinlu, you also have Jinhuang and Dufeilu. I don't have any information on those this year. Those ones also require special application, so just keep that in mind if you're planning on go there. I don't have any information on those, so share it if you do. And that's it for the hot springs in Taidong and really all the hot springs in Taiwan. If I missed any, please let me know. The one further south of that, Tuban, was dry. I did check it out, but Fullerton is dry again this year, so I don't think we have any left. But if I did, let me know. I'll pin everything. And all of this information, again, is on 68maps.com. You can find maps and everything you need there. And you can also post maps and post photos and share more information with the community so we can all have a better hot spring experience and a better hot spring year. Based on the condition of the hot springs so far in Taiwan this year, I think that 2022 is going to be a great hot spring season. I really look forward to seeing you out there. For many of these hot springs, you have to hike up the river to get to them, and I think it's just a lot more fun. You can kayak all the way back down, so if you need a light, easy to carry kayak that you can bring to hot springs, there's links down in the bottom for that. Also, you can check out the Insta360 1R. I've been having a lot of fun with it and the 1X, taking it on all my adventures because they're waterproof. And a big, huge thanks to the hot spring community for helping me put this video together. Thanks to everyone who contributed to that. And also thank you everyone else who has been, going out and making pools and making everything nice and sharing the information. You guys are fantastic. Love you all. Thanks a lot. I'm going to go to Hot Spring. I'll see you all later. Whew! Is that it? Are we done? Wow, that was a lot. One take. Yeah, come on. Let's go.